You had the news this morning of running back Cameron Seldon being of what he's facing to come back, and how does this affect the running back room for Tennessee with Seldon's injury?
Well, obviously, it will affect it, for spring and potentially going forward, Josh. I mean, when you look at kind of where Tennessee's at, they've got a little bit of depth there. It's not great, obviously, but very little experience. It's basically, Dylan Sampson and a bunch of kids that are unproven, whether even being a guy like Cam Seldon. He had a little over 100 yards last year total. And then, you have Deshaun Bishop flashed last year during spring, got hurt, missed the rest of the year. Khalifa Keith played just very little. So, again, Peyton Lewis, the true freshman, is out for spring because he's injured. So, will Tennessee go to the portal? Maybe. We'll see. I think a lot of it depends on where they feel like they're at and what they need coming out of spring.
Do you think portal is a realistic option for Tennessee?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it has to be a realistic option. Now, will they choose to go that way? I don't know. Coaches get paid the big bucks for a reason. They're seeing, inside the building what they have and what they don't have. And so, if they choose to go to the portal, I think you have to try to go as big as you can. I don't think you can just taking a body to take a body, kind of like when Pruitt first got here and they took Maudre London. I don't think you go that route. If you're going to get somebody, it needs to be somebody that can help you.
Austin Price of Volquest is with us, and I want to get back to Tennessee on the practice field, some recruiting as well, but there is, of course, the anticipated talk of the upcoming portal season, and there's always the anticipation of chaos. Is chaos the word you would use to describe what's expected, or what do you think it's going to look like here from a Tennessee standpoint or just college football?
I don't think it's going to be that way, guys. I really don't. Everybody else keeps playing that up, and there's going to be some movement, but is there going to be, like this chaos that everybody's describing where whole position rooms change and they're replaced by team? But, I just don't believe that. I believe that's a lot of rumor. There's been several stories that we've had written about kids that were planning to leave that never left because, kids say they're going to leave, but they don't really want to leave. There are kids that left here. There are kids that left other schools that got to new homes and found out that the grass wasn't necessarily greener, and they'd love to come back. So, it's just kind of be interesting to kind of see how all this plays out. But I'll have to see it to believe it, to see that they're going to have this kind of, hard flux chaos that everybody's describing.
On the recruiting front, AP, Tennessee is after a lot of really, really good prospects. From a commitment standpoint, who's on commitment watch?
Ethan Utley obviously is going to commit tomorrow night. I feel like Tennessee's done a really good job with him. Rodney Garner has known his mom for a long time, Jason. Dating back to when Rodney was at Georgia and she was at Georgia. It feels like Tennessee's got a lot of momentum there. He'll commit tomorrow night. Tennessee, Texas, Michigan. Right around 7:30 Eastern, around 6:30 Central.
Yeah, Utley is a 4-star defensive lineman from Innsworth. What kind of prospect are we talking about here?
Yeah, a really good player, a guy that I think best football is ahead of him. And, and one of the things, in talking to him over during his recruitment, he plays a lot of three-man front at Innsworth, but is probably better suited for a four-man front, which is what Tennessee runs. So, again, it would be a really nice addition to the recruiting class.
Austin Price, Volquest.com. I know that Heupel answers questions during the press conference that's asked to him and doesn't really give a lot of detail. What have you kind of heard after the scrimmage off the camera about who stood out and who performed well today?
I heard Keenan Peely was very active. Lance Hurd flashed. James Pierce flashed against Lance Hurd, which, that's a good thing. Mike Matthews, obviously Coach referenced his, he had a long touchdown down the sideline today, beat Jordan Matthews on a play. And, Heard the tight ends had a nice day. So again, overall, just the ability to make plays when things break down is something that Nico flashed again today, and I would say that's going to be a part of the repertoire. I think that this offense is going to look more like 22, and I don't mean points and yards, but just how they look, during the course of a game than it did in 23.
Austin, it's a new look secondary. What do you hear about that group? Corner, safeties, Boo Carter's getting a lot of attention and talk as a newcomer in the secondary as well. What do you hear?
Yeah, Jacoby Thomas, Jermon McCoy, two guys they got out of the portal they really like quite a bit. The kid from Temple has flashed and shown that he could probably play at this level. Tennessee, I think, is just a more athletic group, and honestly, their kind of change up in the secondary, I think, was needed and could prove to be one of the keys to why Tennessee has success this fall.
Yeah, I know McCoy's gotten attention and talk. Should he be getting more in terms of what he could do as a day one corner coming in as a transfer from Oregon State, Jermon McCoy?
Yeah. I would be shocked if Jermon McCoy's not one of your two starters. I think it'll be he and Ricky Gibson. Again, I think that he's poised to really, show out here.
What's been the talk about the new coaches, William Inge and Darrell Sims? Heard some good stuff about Inge so far.
Yeah, again, I think with Inge, I mean he's a veteran guy that the players, have found they like quite a bit, and I think they've kind of really taken a liking to him. Maybe his personality is a bit different, but I think it's in a good way. And then I think the running backs and the offensive side of the ball in general have really liked the addition of Darrell Sims.
Austin Price, Volquest.com. Is there a player that maybe he's not an obvious starter or one of the most talked about players, but you think deserves a little more attention that might be showing the staff that he could help this team this upcoming fall, depending on how the rest of the spring and offseason go?
Yeah, I mean, I think Miles Kitselman will have a niche on this team, the Alabama transfer tight end. He's more physical, I think, than the other two. And the other two, I think, are a little bit more known for their pass-catching ability, being Holden Stays and Ethan Davis. But I think Kitselman can have a niche as a guy who, can catch the ball, but also is physical in the run game.
Yeah, what do you hear about Ethan Davis so far?
Continuing to progress, continuing to do really good things, and a guy that, will help this team this fall. Probably Tennessee's best pure tight end overall.
Who you think has kind of the upper hand at left guard right now?
That's a good question. I don't think there is one. If the game was started today, I'd probably take Jackson Lampley or Dane Davis. That's saying if a game was played today and Spraggins was ready to go. Otherwise, right now, I think Davis would be left and Lampley would be the right guard.
Yeah, and is it difficult to say with Andre Carrick because of his limited availability?
Didn't do a whole lot last year. Played a little bit at the first of the year, then got hurt and didn't play. And going through spring, I just feel like the road will be tougher for him to get to the field than other guys who have been playing and continue to play.
What's that saying about the tub, AP?
What's that?
You can't make the club in the tub, right? Ain't that what they say?
That's right. That is so right.
Austin, do we miss anything recruiting-wise besides Ethan Utley? He'll be the main focus over the next 36 hours or so. Anything we missed on the recruiting trail for Tennessee fans to watch for?
No, not really. I mean, Tennessee set up for a big weekend next weekend on the 6th. Like Douglas Utu, big tackle out of Vegas, will be here. Rodarius Jackson, wide receiver out of Memphis, will be here. A lot of kids in next weekend on the 6th.
So in the meantime, what do people look for there on Volquest or in the GQ?
I just continued baseball coverage, basketball coverage, spring practice coverage. I've got a one-on-one with On3's Andy Staples up, and Andy's been around the program the last 24 to 48 hours, and he had some really good thoughts on Tennessee and just kind of the outlook for this 2024 season.
You have a Creighton prediction, by the way, Sweet 16 for Tennessee?
I think this is the tougher of the two games. I really do. As good as Purdue is, I think from a program standpoint, getting over the hump in this game will be more difficult. I think this is a really good matchup for Tennessee. I think Tennessee wins this game. and then we'll see after that. I think they're playing with house money if they can come through on Friday night.
Volquest.com, that's where you can read the work, see the guys there as well. Conversation with Andy Staples, he's terrific. Volquest.com to catch it all. Austin, appreciate the time as always, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, guys.